Played his first 8 NFL seasons with the Rams. He was the Super Bowl MVP in 2021 when the Rams beat Cincinnati to win the championship. Tough decision to say goodbye to such a productive player, but the Rams need some salary cap space. Cup's departure saves the Rams $15 million. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is pleased to announce that like George and Weezy,
well, we're moving on now.
Earlier this year, we were named as semifinalists for the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025. Wait for it. Wait for it.
You ready?
KBLA Talk 1580 was recently selected as one of 10 finalists being considered for this prestigious award. Hundreds of organizations, institutions, and even cities were nominated in the selection process. But KBLA Talk 1580 has made it to the finals. You're invited to watch live on Wednesday, April 16th at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central, as Eco America announces the winner and the runner-up, awarding over $200,000 in prize money. To watch live, just go to ecoamerica.org to register and attend the online ceremony. That's ecoamerica.org. Don't miss the presentation of the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025, Wednesday, April 16th, and wish us luck. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
Africa unite, 'cause we're moving right out of Babylon, and we're going to our father's land. Yeah. How good and how pleasant it would be before God and man, yeah, to see the unification of all Africans, yeah. Has it been said already? Let it be done, yeah. We are the children of the Rastaman. We are the children of the Iron Man. Africa unite, 'cause the children wanna go home, yeah. Africa unite, 'cause we're moving right out of Babylon.
KBLA Talk 1580. It's Afripedia time. Being joined in the studio right now by a longtime community activist. He's a musician. He's a video and film producer and teacher. Teaches broadcast technology and music to young people. Also preserver of black scholarship, working with folks like Runoko Rashidi, Ashra Kwesi, and others to capture their lectures and their work for future generations through his video productions. Abeid Uzoma, welcome.
Greetings, Dominique.
Joining us by phone, a practicing attorney for nearly 42 years. He served in the Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department as an intern many years ago, the DA's office in L.A., worked for Legal Aid Foundation for a while, and in private practice for the firm of Edelin, Meshach, Clegg, and Calhoun in Compton, California. He was also a deputy city attorney for the city of Compton. However, with the hat that he's wearing today, he is widely known as a chronicler of ancient black history. Attorney LeGrand Clegg, welcome.
Thank you.
So now you two co-conspirators seem like unlikely partners in crime, but yet I think you guys have done many a project together, haven't you?
Absolutely. Unlikely, no, LeGrand and I have been associates for quite a while. We've been for years.
Yeah, and working on everything, I would imagine, Attorney LeGrand Clegg, from, community lectures and protests to bigger projects.
Yes. Abeid has been at the forefront of bringing our issues to the media, especially television. And given the dearth of it overall in terms of our positive images, our history, our culture in a positive way, he's been at the forefront of it. And once he invited me to participate with the formation of Afropedia, I was very excited and have done so.
So let's go to the basic. Abeid, what is Afropedia?
It's really Afripedia Black, and Black is an acronym for Biographical Library of African Collective Knowledge. Biographical is a mouthful. Biographical Library of African Collective Knowledge, Black.
So what does that really mean? I mean,
it means it's a digital form that has all of our, it's just not one thing. Some people say comedic, but we encompass all of our history and our culture. So it's a biographical library of African collective knowledge.
So we're talking about videos, we're talking about books, we're talking about
everything. Yeah, we have short films, videos, debates, everything you can think of, and a lot of it is online. But with Afripedia, it's amalgamated into one channel, one platform. And we do advocate, when you see something you like, to go support those content providers, because they're young Black content providers, and they're doing extraordinary work on YouTube, and a lot of them are getting shut down because of the content that they're creating. So we have our own channel. We own our own channel. And so we're not subject to that, but we do. Again, we're a nonprofit, and we every month we feature a new content provider, new conscious content provider, and they're all over the world.
When you say you own your own channel, what does that mean?
Well, I mean, we're not subject to YouTube. And
you're not on
Facebook,
YouTube. You're not on Instagram. You're not on Facebook. You're not on LinkedIn. You're not on Meta. So you actually built
we
a
did
platform.
Not build. We partnered with a company. Lightcast. Yeah,
I see.
Yeah, and I've spoken with the owners in regards to our content, and we're good.
LeGrand, Attorney LeGrand Clegg, I mean, you're known for your series of videos and content that focuses on ancient Black history. In the moment we're in right now in this country with a Secretary of Education who could not say under oath whether it was legal to teach Black Studies class. What are you concerned might happen to some of this material?
Well, historically, way back in 1926, Dr. Carter G. Woodson formed Negro History Week, which evolved into Black History Month in the 60s during the height of the Civil Rights Movement. And the reason that he addressed this is that at that time, the history of Black people was not being revealed, either the history in Africa and around the world or the history in the United States. And so he felt it important to set aside a week in the year, which later became a month, so that American people would understand and be informed about what the contributions of Black people have been to the United States. What we're seeing now is a reversion to the way things were at the time that Dr. Woodson stepped forward to change them. And that speaks to the fact that white supremacy is like matter. It's never destroyed. It just changes form. And it's really sad because it's cyclical. People like Carol Anderson, Neely Fuller, Francis Welsing, and others have talked about the fact that once we think we have achieved something, then suddenly it's taken away, or we return to the elimination of whatever we, have had. And so at this point, I'm not surprised. Well, I'm not shocked, but I don't know how people say it. I'm not surprised that here they are taking what little is known about our history and culture and denying it. For example, in one of the specials in our program is a tribute to Ivan Van Sertima. Of course, you're aware of who he is, and perhaps your constituents may not be. But he was one of the most revolutionary scholars of the 20th century. He revealed with substantial evidence that blacks had come to America before Columbus and interacted with the Native Americans, and even it was possible that some of the Native Americans had traveled to Europe and Africa. Anyway, all online now, they're trying to discredit Van Sertima in spite of all the evidence that was put forward. So what we've done is we've highlighted about at least 14 scholars who support Van Sertima, half of whom are white, and shown that the evidence that he put forward was substantial and legitimate and needs to be recognized. What is happening now under Trump is they're trying to wipe all of that out and to claim that, we have no history to respect. And even in such cases as happened with the woman who was running for president, she didn't even recognize that Nikki Haley, that slavery took place, that the civil rights war took place because of slavery. So that is what's happening in terms of the suppression of black history at this time.
Wow. I wasn't aware of the dis and misinformation campaign online about Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, one of my favorite books of all times. They came before Columbus. And it's because exactly what you said. It kind of casts world history, global history into a new light. Well, it was new for me then. I think I was in college when I read it. It was a minute ago. Anyway, we're talking Afropedia Black. Abeid Uzoma and attorney LeGrand Clegg are joining me. I feel like I should say historian. LeGrand Clegg, you are welcome into the conversation. 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. If you've got a question, commentary, or you want to get contentious, we're here for all of that. I'm Dominique DiPrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
A new day is on the horizon.
Who paved the way for the leaders of today? An untold number of remarkable women, known and unknown, who shaped our past and continue to inspire our future in every field of human endeavor, education, civil rights, technology, and more. Celebrating Women's History Month, we are KBLA Talk 1580.
Sometimes we lose, sometimes we win. Sometimes we try to fit it all in. Sometimes we don't know what's in store. Sometimes we find what we're looking for. Sometimes we're rolling easy and free. Sometimes 1 and 1 makes 3. So much to love along this ride. That's why Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and Affiliates, Columbus, Ohio.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
Hey, this is Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, and for over 20 years, Parkside Economic Development Corporation has served Leimert Park and surrounding communities, empowering tomorrow's leaders and changing lives. Parkside EDC has awarded over $400,000 in college scholarships while sharing economic principles of the Big Five of money with students and their families. Parkside EDC partners with organizations like the Brotherhood Crusade to assure our youth have the financial acumen to succeed. Parkside EDC provides families and businesses with financial insights, offering free online, on-site, and on-air B-Warp presentations. The Black Wealth Attainment and Retention Programs helps our community acquire, sustain, and pass down legacy wealth. High school seniors can apply for this year's scholarship awards at parksideedc.org. Scholarships will be awarded at Parkside EDC's Gospel/Jazz Brunch on Sunday, April the 27th. For details, tickets, or donations, please visit parksideedc.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Talking with activist and producer, director, musician Abeid Uzoma, and attorney LeGrand Clegg, who's also an historian, talking about Afropedia, which is their new venture, Afripedia Black. Abeid, how do we access this if we want to? I mean, even just what you were spelling out, attorney LeGrand Clegg, about Ivan van Sertima and these scholars. I think you said 13 or 14 scholars you've selected to highlight. But where would we start if we want to support the work that you're doing?
You can reach us at Afripedia. That's AFRIPEDIA Black .lightcast. That's LIGHT cast.com.
Okay, AfropediaBlack.lightcast.com.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You can also go to your store. We have an app you can download if you want. And we're on Roku, we're on Fire TV, Apple TV, Android. We're on most of those platforms. You can find us.
Now, is your thought process that being on a million platforms and having your own standalone website protects this information, this knowledge from being distorted or taken down or censored by the likes of Meta or X?
I think so in a way, but I think if they want to take it down, if they want to, this until we own our own platform, truly own our own platform, we're subject to be canceled or taken down. I think this is just a little better than being on the Facebook and YouTube. It's just gives us a little more protection, so that's why I decided to do this. But I think we're subject. If we don't own it ourselves, outright own it ourselves, we're subject to that.
Okay, I'm on AfropediaBlack.lightcast.com. You've got audio channels, you've got video channels, so it's content within content within content. Mm-hmm. Attorney LeGrand Clegg, how did you pick these scholars? I mean, we've got so many great ones to choose from.
Well, there are not a lot of people who are experts at the African presence in the New World before Columbus, but there are some. And so I read some of the articles about the subject as well as the book that you spoke so highly of, and scoured through that and found different ones, and then went online and then saw that many of them had a presence online. And so what we have about, I would say, maybe about 12 hours worth of material where they're giving lectures and documenting information. For example, Alexander von Wudenau was a scholar who had a museum. He passed away several years ago, but he had a museum in Mexico where he engaged for about, at least 30 years, the excavation of artifacts in Mexico showing that all kinds of people from Ireland and Scotland and Italy, everywhere, had been coming to America before Columbus by virtue of the sculptures. In other words, people can't create individuals they've not seen, and the sculptures themselves reflect cultural nuances. But the primary people who came over and influenced the New World culture were from Africa. And this is a man of German descent teaching in Mexico who has a museum there, saying that the, quote, the people of highest standing and clearly societal achievement whose presence presence was reflected by the artifacts were black people. And of course, many of your readers, or rather your listeners, have seen the huge stone heads that they found in Mexico. And this Graham Hancock, Richard Hatcher Childress, von Wudenau, any number of the scholars are fully aware of the presence of Africans. And again, I read some of their books, I found them online, and so forth. And it was really heartening to see the combination of people, not just black people, but across the board, people who were telling the truth about the presence of black people and substantiating what Ivan van Sertima had discovered and written about.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. LeGrand, Clegg, because, when I was studying with Dr. Richard King back at San Francisco State, we were talking about these things. Nobody spoke of it, and it's still pretty rare, but I was surprised that at the independent school where I had my child for a while, there was a young white teacher teaching the kids about Imhotep. Almost fell out of my chair. I was like, wait, what? And so maybe there is, while we have this mis and disinformation, maybe there is a younger generation of European and white minds that are not as closed, that are willing to look at evidence like Dr. Van Sertima puts forth and say, oh, yeah, that makes sense. The founder of all medicine on the planet is a black man named Imhotep.
Well, it's really interesting that you should raise that, because probably the most significant book of recent years to be written about him was written by two non-black, well, actually white scholars, Robert Bauval and Thomas Brophy. And I think it's called Imhotep, but it's an outstanding book. And they acknowledge that he was black. And, in that vein, in our struggle today, I was recently talking with someone, and I said, a lot of white people are awakening and are interested in developing greater racial relations in America. For example, during the George Floyd controversy, 80,000 people demonstrated on Sunset. Probably only 1% of them were black. Recently, when the president claimed that Haitian immigrants in some city in Ohio, I think it was, were eating pets, the white people of the town were outraged. During the George Floyd incident, there was Trump made the comment that blacks were going to flood the suburbs, something like that. And the New York Times carried an article. They interviewed white women about this predicted deluge. And the women were saying things like this, well, first of all, we don't believe that. But even if it were so, we need some diversity up here. And then, of course, the people who voted for Kamala Harris, there is an awakening and a shifting on the part of some white people to recognize that racial harmony in America is desirable. And when you made that comment, I think that we should be aware of that, and to the degree that we can, without being gullible, try to affiliate with people who have our interests at heart.
Yeah. I see you shaking your head, Abeid. Did you want to pile on to that conversation? Yeah.
And I agree 100%.
Well, I think that in my view, or what I see, my experience is that it tends to be the younger folks. They're less afraid.
Yes.
And less invested in total hegemony, even though I think Pete Hegseth is pretty young, and apparently he's banned all cultural celebrations from the military, except for I guess I'm reading St. Patrick's Day is getting a pass. Wonder why that could be.
Well, also they had agreed that they had once forbidden the showing of the movie about the Tuskegee Airmen, but they're allowing that to be shown also.
Yeah, well, that was, I think, from a result of pushback.
Yes.
People got mad. But
we have.
Yeah, go ahead.
We have to fight. In other words, there was a time when they didn't show anything. Now a lot of more people know about Black history and culture, and so to the degree that they want to suppress it, that should give us the impetus to focus on it even more, and to cause people something that's forbidden. Oftentimes, people will gather around and push, and so that, I think, may be the opposite effect of it, or we should promote that anyway.
Yeah, I think that's what's happening with these book bans. Abeid, you have spent a lot of time volunteering your days and nights to edit and compile and preserve the work of a lot of these scholars. Notably, I know you put a lot of Vernoko Rashidi's work on video, and Ashra Kwesi, and others, Dr. Tony Humber. Why is this the area? And you've been doing this for years. I mean, even with my show Front Page, we were on Ustream when it wasn't even popular for people to stream. It wasn't even a thing. Everyone does it now. But you just showed up one day and you were like, oh, what can we do? And you and Ricky Harris, let's stream. And we did. Why did you decide to volunteer your time and make this a priority in preserving these conversations long before we saw this sort of attack on DEI or Black Studies?
Working at Carras, I used to
Carras Unity
Center of African Spiritual Science. When those scholars start coming in and I start hearing our culture and our information, knowing that a lot of us haven't heard this. When you're sitting in a room hearing things that are just amazing and you have maybe 25, 30 people sitting up there, I say, wait a minute, there has to be another vehicle to get this information out. And that's when we started in the early days of streaming. That's when I went to the internet. I said, and what happened is I was invited to a friend of mine, Moon, a partner of mine, Moon, and I were invited to go to the Academy of Arts and Science and teach streaming on internet. This was back in the early days before it was very expensive to do. And when I went there, and we're sitting in this room, we had everything set up like we had a podcast. We were doing podcasts, and people were set up in producer chairs. It's like a regular television production, only we were broadcasting it over internet. We had Warner Brothers, Capitol, every broadcasting company was there. The officials were there. 2 black guys were in the room broadcasting over the internet, and I look back and you see all of these executives looking at 2 black guys in there. And this young lady a sister comes in and she says, can I take a picture of you guys? Nobody would believe this. And we said, why? She said, you guys are in the Academy of Arts and Science broadcasting, and the guys at Warner Brothers and Paramount are outside the window looking at you with their nose pressed to the glass. And so she said, nobody would believe this. So at that point, I told Moon, I'm not coming back.
Moon Miller,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I'm not coming back anymore. I'm going to go to the neighborhoods and I'm going to teach. Now it's a level playing field. Before, we couldn't do what Warner Brothers.
A technological level playing field.
Well, money, too.
Other than that we don't own the means of distribution. But great points, and certainly my some of my classic interviews, including Dick Gregory and the one with Dr. Cornel West and Tavis Smiley me, would have been, me and my sister Kelly Jones, would have been lost to history had you not showed up and decided to stream. We've got news, traffic, and sports right here, but we will continue this conversation with Abeid Uzoma and attorney LeGrand Clegg, Afropedia, when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Lauren Boebert doubled down on calling Black Texas Congressman Al Green's walking aid a pimp cane, dismissing a censure resolution. She criticized Green for shaking it at Trump during his address to Congress. An investigation continues after a man was shot outside of O'Hare Airport. Chicago's Black Mayor Brandon Johnson addressed the incident. The man shot twice and the lower body is in stable condition. Another person is being questioned. Black Mayor Tashara Jones criticized the bill returning control of the St. Louis Police to the state, citing a $40 million cost and potential impact on city services. The St. Louis Police Officers Association supports the bill, calling it Governor Mike Kehoe's vision for a safer city. And rapper Too Short is joining the Oakland Ballers ownership group. The Ballers aim to raise $2 million in a new community investment round. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Every day, a child in poverty waits for a sponsor is another day of hopelessness. There are thousands of kids who've been waiting over a year. End their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Just text the word radio to 83393.
Is this the tiger? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers sent LeBron back to L.A. for further treatment on his groin injury. The decision was made in the middle of the Lakers' 4-game road trip. The Lakers are in Milwaukee tonight and at Denver on Friday. LeGrand is expected to miss at least the next 2 weeks. The Clippers found some new offense Wednesday night in Miami. Bogdanovich dropped 30 points in the Clippers' 119-104 win over the Heat. It was also a good night for Ivica Zubac, 26 points and 14 rebounds. The Clippers are in Atlanta Friday night. The Rams made it official. They released wide receiver Cooper Kupp. Kupp played his first 8 NFL seasons with the Rams. He was the Super Bowl MVP in 2021 when the Rams beat Cincinnati to win the championship. Tough decision to say goodbye to such a productive player, but the Rams need some salary cap space. Kupp's departure saves the Rams $15 million. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is the story of the one. He's responsible for keeping a leading healthcare facility clean and safe. And he trusts Grainger's high-quality HVAC cleaning and safety products, combined with their world-class supply chain, to consistently deliver, ensuring he's covered inside and out, so he can focus on keeping his facility clean to help protect the health of everyone inside. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
During tax season, your info travels lots of places you can't control.
W-2 arriving from payroll platform 3.
Everything criminals need to steal your identity is on your W-2.
Last call for accountant at home office, 1 minute.
LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points per second.
Tax preparation data centers with service to IRS. All aboard.
If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
We've got a lot to talk about.
On January 7th, 2025, the Eaton Canyon Fire scorched Altadena, torching everything in its path. Homes, wealth, and legacy burned in one night. But will Altadena rise from the ashes? I'm James Farr. On the Conversation Live Altadena Rising, we're chronicling the recovery, the resilience, and justice for the nation. This is the show of record. Unapologetically progressive. We're not blacking down. So join me, James Farr, on the Conversation Live Altadena Rising every Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific with the rebroadcast on Sunday at noon.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Life blooms in beautiful ways. The Afia Center invites you to celebrate at the end with Red Gala, honoring the strength and resilience of Black women living with HIV. Join us for an evening of empowerment as we launch the Barbara Cambridge Scholarship and kick off Herstory Month with our theme, Life in Full Bloom. Your support helps create vital HIV programming and builds a future where every voice is heard and every story matters. The end with Red Gala, because every flower deserves to bloom. To learn more and to donate, visit theafiacenter.org.
For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look. And unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So, let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California, once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at a gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event. Or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
Broadcasting live from Leimert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio. KBLA Talk 1580.
We're talking with Abeid Uzoma and attorney LeGrand Clegg. And Abeid, you wanted to share the story of how Afropedia, the Afropedia Black is the full name, which is, you can find it on a website, you can find it on an app, you can find it on many of the TV streaming platforms like Roku and such. But it started out, how?
Well, you know, when Runoko Rashidi would come back to town, would come home.
Runoko Rashidi's an author, an historian, and a scholar, for those not familiar.
It's when he would come home, I would always swoop him up. You know, he would normally do a lecture at Karash, Unity Center for African Spiritual Science. But even in between that, I would scoop him up, bring him over to the center, and we would just record lectures. I was sharing with Dominique, I have a lot of his lectures. I have the most recorded lectures of him that I haven't yet edited and put up for viewership or listenership. So, but anyway, we would sit out in the car a lot of nights and just talk, and he would tell me about his, when the Compton College lectures and all that. We just talk about stuff. And so he said, Abeid, it would be nice if we had a channel that featured a lot of the old scholars, and just featured a lot of our work and a lot of our things. I said, yeah, we talked about it, whatever. But then he passed. After he passed, I said, you know what, I'm gonna do this channel, and I kind of dedicated to Renoko, and so primarily we have all of our scholars that most people know about, the Ashwaquazis, Merowitquazis, of course, Renoko, Professor Winterhawk, Anthony Browder, John Henry Clark, Charles Finch, Layla Africa, Dr. Layla Africa, on and on and on. We have those scholars. But what I'm excited about is that there's a plethora of new young scholars all over the world, from France, Canada, Africa, that are putting out, and these are digital-minded content providers that are doing some amazing work, taking that mantle like a relay race, taking that baton and doing some incredible video editing and illustrations and stuff. It's just amazing. So I feature them. Like I said, I feature one a month. But
of the younger scholars?
Of the younger scholars, but in the library, which is the last, if you scroll through the video shows, the very last one is actually the library. When you open that up, that's the library. We got over 800 short films, debates, whatever. We have all that stuff in there, digital content in there. And you'll see their material in there as well.
Jamal Hakim is saying, do you have DIOP? Do you have stuff from DIOP?
Yes. You go into the library, you'll see it.
Yeah, well, you know how I feel about it. At one point, I convened a group of young people to hear Ashwaquazi, because sometimes I think it's only, the older or the chronologically gifted, as Tavis says, who listen to these scholars. And I noted, at least for my own young scholar, that after pretending to ignore Ashwaquazi through it, when it was like a 2-hour lecture or whatever, there was an incredible uptick in his interest in ancient Kemetic and African material. And I would find books that had been secretly read, put by the side of the couch or whatever it is. So clearly we need to be able to connect those dots between the young scholars and the generation of older Americans. And LeGrand, Clegg, I know you've done a lot of work yourself. You are one of those scholars that we're talking about. Do you tell me how you see that connection between the generations with this information, especially against the background of the disinformation and attacks on Black scholarship that you guys were mentioning earlier?
Well, it's been heartening to see. Sometimes I'm online and there's this extraordinary. For example, this one fellow, I think he's in London. He's done these sculptures of King Tut and I think some of the other pharaohs. And he's taken the original artwork from the tomb and given it modern life. And I'm just stunned because there's not in the establishment educational systems that are encouraging this. So these young people, an understatement, right?
Right.
These young people are launching this on their own, on the outside, which is what I did at 19. And I'm just so pleased about it because I feared that there would be no follow-up, on this, given that they're not the Association for the Study of Classical African Civilizations had a group of scholars who are now middle-aged, and they're teaching young people, so at Howard and other institutions. So there is this there are groups of young people who will be coming behind us, but I'm just shocked on seeing it online because it was unexpected. And a lot of it is very well done and groundbreaking. I just can't tell you how surprised and pleased I am about that, because many of our scholars have passed on, and there's not been people to carry forth their work. But this, as Abeid has pointed out, seems to be changing. And we're hoping that Afropedia will be a place where one can go to find their work as we categorize these things and accumulate them. We hope that our site will be the source that people turn to for legitimate scholarly work on Black history and current events, for that matter.
AfropediaBlack.lightcast.com for those just joining us. AfropediaBlack.lightcast.com. You said you also have the Afropedia app on. You can get it at wherever you get your apps. And you can find this information right now. It's free, right, Abeid?
Absolutely free.
Yeah, free. Something tells me you guys would accept donations, though, if folks want.
We accept donations.
How do we donate if we want to support the work?
Let me give you a number to call right now.
Okay.
We're still setting up. It's 323-849 5087.
323-849-5087. This is a great way for us to finish out today's show because, as you know, we love Dr. Gerald Horne, but sometimes the realities of what's happening in the world can be a bit overwhelming. We started the day talking about the Eaton Canyon fire in Altadena, which is also very sad, and the lawsuit that Attorney Carl Douglas is bringing on behalf of the Nickerson family, the pushback and the possibilities. Also wanted to give a thank you to our weekly newspaper. They've got me on the cover today, and it's an article about my work in this business, my marathon on the mic, which is such a blessing. And so, you know, we pivot to, we turn to young people, we turn to arts, we turn to culture, we turn to our history, we turn to the accomplishments of our ancestors, and knowing that that genius lives in our DNA. We turn to the intergenerational exchange that seems to be happening here on this Afropedia Black platform. And these are the types of things that we can feed on and remember that we are in the middle of a long battle. It's a marathon. And when we fight, we win. Continuing our conversation with Abeid Uzoma and attorney LeGrand Clegg when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
The Eaton Canyon fire devastated many Black families in Altadena, taking more than just homes. It took memories, legacies, and generational wealth. The heart of a Black community is now in jeopardy, but Justice Coalition, led by Gage and King LA Lawyers for the People, are here to help. If you've lost your home, we are standing by to hold insurance companies and utilities accountable for the damage caused. When the community suffers, we all suffer. Together, we can rebuild what was lost. Your recovery starts today. Call 626-429-1259. That's 626-429-1259. Or visit www.eatonfirelawyers.net. Justice Coalition, Gage and King, LA Lawyers for the People. We got you. Call 626-429-1259. Visit www.eatonfirelawyers.net. Again, 626-429-1259. This is attorney advertising. Past results do not guarantee future outcomes. Legal representation is provided by licensed attorneys.
For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look, and unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at the gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and Brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Nia.
Hi, Nia. It's Jennifer. Did you know that Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, I work here.
Okay. I was just double checking. Get it?
Because Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, you get me, Nia.
You could say that I double get you.
I guess we've taken it too far.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
First things first, I got a lot of black scholarliness in the studio and on the phone. We got Abeid Uzoma is here with me. You might remember him from Caras Unity Center. He's also a musician, a film and video producer, and an activist. We have attorney LeGrand Clegg, who's got a storied career in the legal field, but also is known as an historian of ancient African history, among many other things, an activist in his own right as well. And attorney LeGrand Clegg, I know you and Abeid Uzoma both knew Dr. Richard King, the late Dr. Richard King, psychiatrist who I credit with really changing my life, even though I was raised by activists and I always understood black liberation struggles, the ancient historical aspect and the spiritual aspect that was something that I was not as fully aware of. And when I walked into Dr. King's class, it was the Black contribution to scientific development is what it was called. So I was expecting to learn about George Washington Carver. And instead I learned about Ma'at and Kemet. Oh, that's scientific development. So, I would love to see at some point, maybe one of the interviews I did with Dr. King on your Afropedia. And I wonder if either one of you would share a few words about the late Dr. Richard King.
That is quite an honor. It's quite an honor to do so. I remember when I first met him. I can't remember where it was, but he was speaking, and I was flabbergasted because, one, he was so young, and number two, what he was saying was consistent with what Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, another psychiatrist, had said. And later I did an interview of him, which I should share with you, in Sepia magazine about the importance of melanin back in 1980. And he brought a certain level of scientific legitimacy to the study of melanin and brought about a marriage between our pursuit of history and culture and spirituality. Before then, people bifurcated it. It's one thing or the other. But he talked about the legitimacy of our spiritual tradition as a people, and linked that with science, and I found that a major positive contribution.
Yeah. Talk to me about, obviously, the part of the mission of Afropedia Black seems to be preserving history, which is actually aggressively and rampantly being erased. You talked about the dis and misinformation, the attacking of Ivan van Sertima and such. But there has to be another side to it, too. What is it, you've always, Attorney LeGrand Clegg, you've always used understanding our history as a pushback to the way we're portrayed and demonized in this society. Abeid, you've always used Black history as a means of uplifting the every man and woman on the streets. What I'm asking you each for is to share, the focus on what we want side of Afropedia Black as opposed to the what we don't want side.
Well, what I want is for this to undergird our move toward unity. During the President's State of the Union message, there was a Black alternative. I'm sure you're aware of a Zoom kind of meeting. I was so happy to see that because they're urging Black people to exercise our consumer clout and to purchase selectively. In other words, to boycott certain companies and so forth and so on. This, I think, to be critical because the president and others are beginning to focus on Black people with raw racism that I've not seen in my lifetime. Even Bernie Sanders has pointed that out. And very quickly, one example is the way they keep referring to DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, blaming everything wrong on that, so that when you see a Black person working, you wonder, well, should they have the job? We have to oppose that in every way we can by showing the genius of Black people, our ancient history, our capability, how brilliant our young people are, et cetera. So that, to me, is a part of the focus of what we're doing that makes it current.
Yeah, and you, Abeid, what's your upside, your what we want to build rather than just what we want to destroy?
Well, I go back to be the change that you want to see. I've worked with Brother Shaka Satori, who has a African-American legacy channel that he's starting. Brother Moon, that I told you I've done an all-nighter. I haven't gotten any sleep. I'm about to stick some toothpicks in my eyes to stay open. But working with about 4 or 5 different people in businesses, we're not in competition. We need to learn to work with each other. We're not in competition. I have 5 fingers. If any one of them don't like the other, I couldn't do what I have to do with my hands. So we need to realize that we are tied together and we need to work together as a group. We also, which is very important, I want to make a point about this, we have to learn how to create maintenance systems to protect the wins that we make. So many times we fight, we die, we go through all this stuff, go to jail, get our heads bashed in to create laws or to get legislation done to affect something, and then we move on to the next fight. And then we look back a year later, and what we worked for is gone. It's been erased because we didn't have any kind of maintenance there, making sure that doesn't happen. And this has been the case over and over and over and over again. So the wins that we win, we need to make sure that it remains a win. Otherwise, we're just doing the same thing over and over and over. Every decade, we're doing the same thing over and over and over. And so we have to know that the battles that we win, we need to make sure that they stay in effect.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's always going to be some back and forth, but it's a good point. How do you hold the line on what you have? You mentioned boycotts, Attorney LeGrand Clegg. We are right in the middle of a 40-day Target boycott, and this week is an Amazon boycott, which is, as they're saying, hold the line till the end of the week. Go directly to the seller of the thing. You don't have to buy the thing through Amazon. It's just a store. Go to the website of the company you want. This does seem to be having an impact. Target's profits are way down. Yes. Tesla's profits are way down. Amazon is feeling the heat. You put that in historical context, that can move some needles, although I did think it was interesting that the president tried to say that the Tesla boycott was illegal, even though their Budweiser boycott apparently was not illegal. You've been, Attorney LeGrand, Clegg, you've been fighting against the negative images of us and the appropriation of our history. We see it, the King Tut exhibit is a perfect example, the way they tried to paint King Tutankhamun white, the way the Egyptian government now is trying to erase black people from that history and make it Arab history, even though they colonized and came much later. What keeps you going? What keeps you from feeling discouraged? I mean, you've been doing this for decades now, and folks need to follow your example and not getting weary in their well-doing.
Well, this year marks 61 years that I've been in the movement.
Wow.
Excuse me. When you look at the pyramids and you see all of that genius, you realize that what I've done is just a pittance. And so the spiritual undergirding that I had as a child, the beauty of black women, the genius of black youth, all of that reinforces me, and the need to salvage it, to save humankind, because I'm concerned that we're on the verge of global destruction, even nuclear annihilation, if this madman continues what he's doing while these people are asleep, while the masses of white people at least are asleep, and Congress is in a cowardice stupor. So I know that if the world is to be salvaged for your children and all the children, that we have to, as adults who realize what's happening, work hard to continue the struggle. I'll just put it that way.
Well, thank you both so very much. Time flies when you're on the radio. Abeid, Uzoma, and Attorney LeGrand, Clegg, thank you for joining me today. Don't forget to stop by afripediablack.lightcast.com, and you can find ways to be involved and support this channel. Appreciate your work. Tavis Smiley is up next. He's got a full lineup. I'm going to go with a Cheikh Anta Diop quote today in the spirit of our conversation. He says, "Humanity's moral conscience progresses slowly yet surely." There's a little encouragement for your day.
Ashe.
Ashe-o. Don't forget to tap in with me on all the social medias. We're at KBLA 1580 everywhere. I'm at DiPrima Radio, DiPrima, and then radio. And follow, and argue with me. Like my mama used to say, history is now, and we're making it together until Freedman Friday, which is tomorrow. One love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Lauren Boebert doubled down on calling Black Texas Congressman Al Green's walking aid a pimp cane, dismissing a censure resolution. She criticized Green for shaking it at Trump during his address to Congress. An investigation continues after a man was shot outside of O'Hare Airport. Chicago's Black Mayor Brandon Johnson addressed the incident. The man shot twice in the lower body is in stable condition. Another person is being questioned. Black Mayor Tashara Jones criticized the bill returning control of the St. Louis Police to the state, citing a $40 million cost and potential impact on city services. The St. Louis Police Officers Association supports the bill, calling it Governor Mike Kehoe's vision for a safer city. And rapper Too Short is joining the Oakland Ballers ownership group. The Ballers aim to raise $2 million in a new community investment round. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Every day, a child in poverty waits for a sponsor is another day of hopelessness. There are thousands of kids who've been waiting over a year. End their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Just text the word radio to 83393.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers sent LeGrand back to L.A. for further treatment on his groin injury. The decision was made in the middle of the Lakers' 4-game road trip. The Lakers are in Milwaukee tonight and at Denver on Friday. LeBron is expected to miss at least the next 2 weeks. The Clippers found some new offense Wednesday night in Miami. Bogdanovich dropped 30 points in the Clippers' 119-104 win over the Heat. It was also a good night for Ivica Zubac, 26 points and 14 rebounds. The Clippers are in Atlanta Friday night. The Rams made it official. They released wide receiver Cooper Kupp. Kupp played his first 8 NFL seasons with the Rams. He was the Super Bowl MVP in 2020, $15 million. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your